We're going to hop into the linebacker room discussion here. It won't be too long, too in-depth, because there really is just a handful of guys to discuss on both teams. Let me make sure this is – there we go. Good. LSU's room, Whit Weeks Jr., 6'2", 225. Harold Perkins, redshirt junior, 6'1", 222 pounds. I don't think a lot of people realize he'd redshirted. But why wouldn't he? Like, why not? Like, if you're going to get a medical red shirt,
take it,
just in case. Devon Keys, sophomore, true sophomore, 6 foot 230, graduate West Week, 6'3", 232, redshirt freshman Tylen Singleton, 6'1", 220, and then the 4 true freshmen, Charles Ross, 6'1", 212, Jaden Breger, 6'3", 209, Keelan Moses, 6'2", 213, Zach Week, 6'3", 224.
Jesus.
That is the room. Yeah, I know. I'm surprised by Zach. He's they're all sitting around similar weights. What Week 6'2", 225. Zach 6'3", 224. West 6'3", 232. A little bit more meat on the big brother. But
somebody got to eat first.
I've got 5 stars next to number 40 and number 7 for LSU. Whit Weeks plays with his hair on fire. A sideline-to-sideline linebacker. He is a statistical monster. If you go back and you look at what he did last season for LSU, his stats are gaudy. Over 100 tackles. Was just everywhere for LSU. Look at the games where the defense starred and looked so well, looked better than they have over the last 5 years. It's because of number 40. That Ole Miss game, Whit Weeks was an absolute freak. He followed it up at Arkansas looking even better. And just all throughout the year, he was as consistent of a player on that defense as you've had in a long time, where you can literally count on number 40 every single Saturday. He's looked good in coverage. A few things to work on there and maybe some man-to-man stuff, but he's a good cover backer. But sideline to sideline, runs around with his hair on fire. Can be over-aggressive at times was one of the reports that a lot of people had on, where his angles can be a little off. He can overrun some things, but he is just an absolute freak. And my favorite thing about him is as consistent as you can be. Like, you can count on 40 every single weekend. He's dependable. You're going to get the most out of him. His motor is probably better than anyone else's in the country. And I love Whit Weeks, and I think he's going to be an NFL linebacker 1,000%. And he's going to play a huge role in week number 1. And speaking of huge role in week number 1, that second linebacker with 5 stars next to their name, number 7, Harold Perkins, is probably one of the biggest keys to success for LSU on Saturday. In all caps, I put a weapon and speed. He's just a freak of nature, man. Like, just, you remember looking back in 2022, he was a freak. 2023, I think it kind of gets overplayed how bad that season was for him. I think it was still above average, and he was just a really good player on a really bad defense. Didn't have very much underrated. When you look back at Missouri in 2023, that game, you needed something to happen, and Harold Perkins makes a play in the zone coverage where he just kind of sits, gets up, gets the football, and makes a play for LSU. He's obviously versatile. He's going to play the star position, which means he can be used kind of everywhere, pass rush, safety, linebacker, and it's just going to be an ultimate weapon for LSU. In all caps, I put he's the game plan. Like, the opposing offense has to make a game plan for number 7. Whether you think he's not as good as he was as a freshman or not, consistently the other coaches are saying they have to game plan for number 7, and I promise you, absolute electricity.
And all the right things are being said, right? It went from his freshman year is just put him out there, let him play football, to maybe we paid too much attention to how to use Harold Perkins and almost confused him in a way of, let's put him here, let's put him there. Hold on, he needs to be in the middle of the action.
Right.
And then it's back to kind of where he feels comfortable. Blake Baker has the quote where he's like,
that's where you want to be.
Where do you want to play?
Yeah.
He's like, anywhere that helps the team. He's like, I don't know. He's like, where do you want to play? Where do you think you're best? And he's like, Coach, we'll be at star. And he's mentioned it multiple times of having to play the star position, learning it. The big thing about Perkins is just to make sure he's not thinking out there. Like, you don't want him to – it's the same thing with Nuss. Don't take away what makes them special.
Right.
Like, the same thing with Nuss. It's like, Make sure you check it down. Make sure you run. Make sure you do, don't take the deep shot. Like, you take away his ability to be a playmaker. Harold Perkins, if you make him think and give him too many things to do, and it feels like I'm stuck in quicksand because now I'm reading this, or should I be looking over here? Go run. Right. Go play ball.
And they're both – go ahead.
No, I just don't – that's the one way that you can waste him is by giving him too many assignments.
Yes, too much on his shoulders.
Go play football.
Yes, give him the green dot and make him organize everybody else. He doesn't need to worry about that. Don't put anything more on his plate other than go play football. And my favorite thing about Harold Perkins and his time at LSU up to this point is, as much as you get concerned when there's an injury history and someone's coming back from an injury, he got to sit back and watch football for the first time in a long time, where he got to sit back, watch Blake Baker work, ask him questions, and watch the game happen in front of him without any pressure, and just being able to look at it, watch the film, and really learn the game. And I think the mental aspect is going to be massive for him. And speaking of the mental aspect, that brings up number 33, West Weeks. He's your vocal leader. He's a freak of nature. He's strong. But he's going to be a rotational piece there. I think him and Devon Keys are going to kind of split time. But the good thing about West is he can play anywhere. Any one of those spots in the linebacker position he can fill in because he's got that mental aspect. He's a smart, savvy football player. A lot of people think that he was brought in just to get Whit here and maybe even Zach. And I'm not going to say that you're not wrong. A lot of times you bring in the brother to get the little brother. Those things happen. But West is still a ball player, and he's going to play football for LSU this season. And I think him and this next guy I'm about to talk about are going to share some time but really play a pivotal role for the Tigers. Next up, number 42, Devon Keys, really showed up late last season. As the season progressed, you saw some spot play earlier in the year, but as the season rolled on, he really started to pick up his playing time and his ability. He played 245 snaps total last year. Late in the year, he played really well against Oklahoma. He started against Florida, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Baylor as well. And they were 3-1 in the games he started, obviously. And he was really good in coverage. I love the instincts he has. If you go watch some of his film, he's got really good instincts of where to go, what to do. He's great in zone coverage. And he's got such a good motor. He was running around, not giving up on plays. I think he had 10 tackles against Oklahoma, and I thought he looked really good. And I'm excited to see what his development looks like after another year in the weight room and getting to learn with these other guys on the field along with him and the experience he gained at the end of the year. I'm very excited for what Devon Keys can look like. But I think the guy in his class I'm the most excited about is number 46, and that's Tylen Singleton, who in all caps is fast. He's just one of those athletes that you look and you're like, that guy is different. He's just not the same as everyone else on the field, and played really well for LSU as the year rolled on. But Tylen Singleton, I think, is a similar hybrid type of guy where he played safety in high school, played some linebacker there at Manny. But he's put weight on since being at LSU. I think in high school he played at around 200, so he's put on 20 pounds since being here to be able to play linebacker. And I think he's gonna get used a good bit. I think they are going to use Tylen Singleton as just kind of this weapon where he's not really going to be in the game plan of everyone's ready for number 46, but he's an athlete, man. He's a freak athlete, and I think this is just another one of those weapons that you are giving Blake Baker, one of those toys to let him run wild with and have fun. And I think you're going to see 46 a good bit this season. And then to close it out, just a little tidbit on these 4 true freshmen. I kind of split them into 2 separate groups because I think there will be 2 guys you see earlier than the other 2. I think C.J. Ross and Jaden Breaker will probably see the field earlier this season than Keelan Moses and Zach Weeks do. But I think this is such a strong group of 4. That's 4 high school 4-star linebackers that they brought in that are great athletes. Ross and Breaker just separate themselves a little bit because they are extremely fast. Track guys in high school, they're athletic. And they can kind of fit that hybrid role as well where they can be used kind of anywhere. Zach and Keelan, great athletes. They're so smart. But I think Ross, I think they're all four be redshirted this season. I don't know how much they'll be used, but I think Ross and Breaker have a better chance at maybe getting some early run for the Tigers this season. But, Lloyd, you want to guess what my grade for the linebacker room for LSU is?
There you go, CJ.
This is CJ, Charles Ross.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, him and Jaden Breaker is just – they're one of those different types of athletes. So I think they'll have the opportunity to maybe see some PT first out of those four true freshmen. But the grade –
A minus.
A plus.
A plus?
I think this room is going to be the best in the country.
I worry about the depth of it all.
Really?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you haven't seen necessarily – and it kind of comes down to – I know what you have in Perk, if you want to put him in the linebacker room, which I guess you have to, because he said he goes to the star room, which
right.
is different, but they all intermingle amongst each other.
Yes.
Whit, A+. West, the last thing you saw from him was the best football game he's ever played at LSU, and I think that's what a lot of people remember, but he was pretty much he was hurt.
Right.
Was kind of getting phased out of the rotation. He didn't really see a lot of him, but he made the decision to not play anymore, take a red shirt, essentially, and then obviously was called on when needed and could play in the bowl game. So you saw him play well in the bowl game. I just don't think as long as he's been here, he hasn't been somebody that you've consistently relied on to play a lot of football. And so while he's out there, it's not somebody that would be like, you look at the rest of them, I don't think he's the one that really is eye-popping as a Harold Perkins, a Whit week. So that's I don't want to say my concern, but I just don't know. He's going to have to play extremely smart, which I think he is. He's going to have to be a leader, which I know he is. And he's probably the hardest worker in the room, and that's saying something when you have your brother nipping at your heels. But that would be – because after that, where do you go? Like, is it Devon Keys?
It's Keys.
Yeah, or is it Singleton? And it's those guys just haven't played a lot of football. Like, you saw Devon Keys play a little bit on the back end after weeks goes down.
Yeah, he started four games.
Yeah, that's where kind of my concern is the depth of the room. That's why I'd give it an A, not an A+. Is just the guys that you're relying on to play some football. They haven't played a lot of football.
Right.
And so that's my only – but I know how good they are. Yeah. But it's just getting in those situations where Devon Keys, trots out there or Singleton, and it's –
right.
These are the three. Who's the other two, and who's the other three? Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And I think the reason I went A+.
I'm splitting hairs, yeah.
Right. I think the reason I went A+ is because of
Keys.
I think he's going to be really good. And, I mean, if I'm looking at the edge rusher room and I'm labeling them an A-, I think the linebacker room has a little bit of a head start on them. And I think just the production you're getting back in that room and how good those top two guys are in Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins just take you to another level.
Yep.
Next up, Clemson's linebacker room. Wade Woodaz, senior, 6'4", 235. Sophomore Sammy Brown, 6'2", 235. Jamal Anderson, junior Jamal Anderson, 6'3", 225. Graduate Jeremiah Alexander, transfer from Alabama, 6'2", 235. Redshirt sophomore D. Creighton, 6'2", 225. Redshirt junior Kobe McLeod, 5'11", 225. Drew Woodaz, 6'2", 220, redshirt freshman. Logan Anderson, 6'2", 225, true freshman. That is the room, and it is they've got two really good guys, really top-tier linebackers, and then they went out and they brought one in from the transfer portal to add to the depth there.
But lest you forget who leads the room.
Yes, their position coach.
Clemson legend. LSU's done this.
There you go, Logan. There we go, Logan. They're scared of me, Logan. They're scared of me.
Does anyone remember one Ben Boulware for Clemson? I think he was number 10 linebacker for Clemson. That is their linebackers coach. And when I was on that show the other night, the Clemson guy had a lot. He was actually teammates with Boulware, so of course he's going to be supportive. But that was a lot of his confidence in the linebacker room was because of them being led by Boulware. And I was like, okay. I'm cool with Blake Baker, though, as my defensive coordinator / linebackers coach. I think I'll stick with him. But
I think it was because of how he was a savvy player. And you can see this clip roll very quickly against Alabama. 4th down. He reads the play. So this is what linebackers coaches do.
Yes.
Dissect it, doesn't make the play, but somebody else does because of his play recognition. And he was one of those guys that at Clemson was team leader, their guy. And so it's essentially I mean, who would you compare? Kelvin Shepherd coming back and coaching at LSU, where you would have the.
I think it's Kyle Williams. Like I think
Yeah,
the
it's
same
very-
conversation of you're getting a guy that didn't have those physical tools and had to learn all the intricacies of how the game works and how to be successful, and that's who they brought back. And like as much as we're high on Williams from that standpoint, that's where I see why they were in the same room, like the same group of their confidence in him at that spot, because now you're teaching guys that do have all the physical tools, and you get to put them and teach them and try to make them more successful to get the most out of them. And starting with the senior, Wade Woodaz, 6'4", 235. He's versatile in coverage. I think his first 2 years in college at Clemson, he played safety. But he had 22 quarterback pressures last year, so he's good as a blitzer. He's a motor guy. Motor. He doesn't give up on the play. He's running hard. He's tracking down. He had 71 tackles, 8 for loss, and 3 sacks. He's a smart football player, and he is all over the field. This is number 17. You're going to see him all over the field. Nice. Let's go. Great job, y'all. Yeah, there you
Up
go.
4.5 pounds of muscle.
The
And down
lean,
fat.
mean linebacker machines.
But Jeremiah,
Okay.
Wade, and D up 12 pounds of muscle since the last DXA too.
Look at these guys. They're dropping body fat and up in the muscle. Come on. Congratulations,
Best shape of
fellas.
their lives.
I wish. But yeah, Wade Woodaz, you're going to see 17 all over the football field on Saturday. He is always around the ball. He's just he's kind of similar to a Weeks brother, not just because he's white, but because he's just always around the play. Like I felt like every time when I was watching some of the games, you always looked, and he's always around the play. Every time 17 was somewhere close. But the one I put a star next to is the guy right next to him, and that's Sammy Brown. 5-star coming out of high school, was a baller as a true freshman for them last year, and the expectations for him as a sophomore are extremely high. He's got all the upside in the world. Last season he had 80 tackles, 12 for loss, and 5 sacks as a true freshman. He's speed all over the field. He can move extremely well. He's physical. The only thing is the mental aspect of the understanding of the game. And that's why I think people are so high on a guy like Boulware as the coach, because that's what he needs to go instill in Sammy Brown, of make sure he knows where. Yeah, no, 17 and 47 are players, and 47 he's a freak, dude. And I just keep your eyes.
He's lined up at edge a couple times.
Right.
Like he's going to be everywhere. And so don't be surprised to see 47 make a couple plays for Clemson.
Keep your eyes on 47, that's for sure. Next up, number 35, Jeremiah Alexander, the grad transfer from Alabama. He's one of those portal guys. So when we talk about Clemson portal guys, what have we said? I talked about it earlier. When they have when they go into the portal to get a guy, in my opinion, that means because they don't do it so often, they're cherry picking. They identified something, they have a role for him, and they know what they want to do with him, and that's what they went and got Jeremiah Alexander for. They needed to add to that linebacker room. He's obviously a heck of an athlete. He's a 5-star coming out of high school, went to Alabama. He's hungry. Like he's a guy that's coming to Clemson because he wants to play. He didn't get very much playing time at Alabama. He's trying to prove himself. And part of the reason why at Alabama was because he started off as an edge rusher. And then in his time at Alabama, he shifted over to like an inside linebacker, off-ball linebacker, and it just kind of changed his dynamic. He didn't really know the position all that well. It's a story kind of similar to Harold Perkins. But there just wasn't opportunity at Alabama for him to kind of grow and figure it out. So that's what he's coming to Clemson to do. I'm very interested to see what he looks like in the orange and white for Clemson next to these guys.
Dabo loves him.
And they went and got him for a reason, and he's at Clemson for a reason.
If everybody worked like Jeremiah Alexander, this would be the easiest job in America.
God,
you pull
that
for a
is
kid like
such
that.
a Daboism.
Uh-huh.
If everybody worked like him, it'd make my life easy. That's Dabo.com.
And good guy, Jeremiah.
He's a player.
No, I mean, look how much he's ingratiated. He was a former teammate of Peter Woods in high school. But it's so weird. You see who helped change the tire?
Tamarcus Cooley.
Then you have Jeremiah Alexander helping this old woman up to her seat.
Yeah, that's, hey.
Just fine young men.
Shout out to that. That's very nice. It's good to see. But yeah, no, he's a good football player too. And there's not a lot of film on him, so I can't really tell you what to expect from him. But he's obviously an elite athlete. Went to Alabama. He's hungry. He wants to prove himself. We'll see what it looks like at interior linebacker.
Got to kick him out the weight room.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if everybody worked that hard, man,
I tell you what,
I'd be out of a job. Next up, Jamal Anderson, a 6'3", 225-pound junior, really good athlete. Kind of, I think, is more of an outside linebacker than an inside linebacker. He's really good off the edge. Played 78 snaps last year, so he's not super experienced. And I genuinely think he's just going to be a depth piece for them. I don't know how much PT he'll see, but that's what he's been. And I think those first three guys are going to be your go-to guys. Number 17, 47, 35, Woodaz, Brown, and Alexander. But another guy that I think is really going to be battling with Alexander for that spot is D. Creighton. Redshirt sophomore, 6'2", 225. He really stepped up at the end of the year against Pitt. Like I said, I think he's battling for that spot. He played 154 snaps last year, so he's got some experience. He's a really good athlete, and he's really good versus the run. And so I'm very intrigued to see kind of how he battles. If I was going to say they had a fourth guy kind of pushing Alexander for some PT, I would say it's D. Creighton, the redshirt sophomore. So don't be surprised if you see 22 out in the mix as well. Last one, number 21, Mr. Kobe McLeod. Does anyone remember another McLeod? Maybe first name Ray Ray. I don't know if anyone remembers that name, a wide receiver.
He went to Clemson also.
That's his brother.
Yep.
So a lot of family.
It's a weird,
a lot of family, Clemson family.
over there.
But he had a season-ending injury last season, and he's just kind of fighting for that opportunity. I think he's going to be another depth piece as well. I've got them rated as a B+ room. I think the first two guys I talked about, Woodaz and Brown, extremely good. I don't think either of them are to the same level as LSU's first two guys, and I think LSU has a deeper room than they do. I think they're betting a lot on the transfer from Alabama, and then behind him, they just don't have too much.
Yeah, I would think that's where you would see a Kobe McLeod, somebody that played a lot of football or was giving the opportunity to play as that fourth linebacker and ultimately gets hurt. But that was somebody that they trusted to be on the football field. That's how you get hurt.
Yep.
But that's probably a name you'll see more than not whenever it comes to like that fourth or fifth guy on the field for Clemson.
Yeah. So I think they have, like I said, the top end talent with Woodaz and then Sammy Brown, who's really, really good. But to me, that's a B+ room. But they have an A- ceiling. I think if you can get the most out of Creighton and McLeod and Jeremiah Alexander ends up being kind of what you expect, they are, an A-, maybe even A room. Can be really, really good because those top two guys are very talented. But to me, LSU clears relatively easily in this position group battle. I think LSU's linebacker, top-tier talent with Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins. And then just kind of the mix of depth you have where you have young guys, you have some experience, you have West Weeks. I just think it kind of makes for and I'm also betting on Blake Baker versus Ben Boulware. As much as I think Boulware is a good hire, I'm taking Blake Baker. And PFF actually did their top 10 linebacker rooms going into the season. Clemson came in at number 9, and then Lloyd, LSU came in at number 2. So different kind of expectations there, but obviously both top 10 rooms. And I think LSU will end up right there around number 2 in the country, maybe even number 1 versus I think Texas is the real competition. But I think Clemson can really make a jump. I don't think they'll be the 9th best room in the country. I think they can make a jump into that top 5. So 2 really good rooms. Like I said, these are really good rosters. That's been I've been spoiled doing these position group breakdowns just by the fact that I get to watch good football because these are really, really talented rosters. But LSU, to me, one of the best linebacker rooms in the country. Clemson is there as well, just not to the same level. I give LSU the win in the linebacker room competition. Lloyd?
Yes, I'm actually looking up some stats because it's hard to make a decision based off last year.
Right.
Clemson struggled mightily against the run, 85th in the country against the run last year, but LSU did not fare much better in the SEC. Statistically, the worst team in the SEC in giving up rushing touchdowns, and they gave up 1,800 yards on the ground for 4 yards a carry and 26 touchdowns just on rushing defense.
Yeah. One of the quotes about this Clemson linebacker room: the Tigers duo of Wade Woodaz, Sammy Brown is a perfect blend of veteran leadership and a youngster with immense potential. Woodaz was the honorable mention on my top 10 linebacker rankings and is incredibly versatile in coverage as a former safety. Forced 5 incompletions last season and has picked off 3 passes since 2023. The rising senior is also a weapon as a blitzer, tallying 22 pressures last year, which is top 20. I think Whit had 25 or 26 pressures. So just right above that in the top 15. And then Sammy Brown was a 5-star recruit from 24, played 454 snaps as a freshman. He had 5 sacks, which was tied for 17th among Power 4 linebackers, and he's expected to take the next step as a full-time starter.
And just going through Clemson's game log here. First game of the year against Georgia, gave up 170 yards. Appalachian State, 150. North Carolina State, 180. Stanford, 236.
Yep.
Figured it out against Florida State for 22 yards. Wake Forest at 87. Virginia in a loss, 68. In a win, 68. In a loss to Louisville, gave up 210 yards. In a win against Virginia Tech, only 40 yards. A win against Pittsburgh, 88 yards. The Citadel came into town and put up 288 yards.
Lord have mercy.
South Carolina, 267 yards in a loss. SMU, 154, even though SMU lost the turnover battle as they continued to give the ball to Clemson.
Just kept coughing it up.
It was unbelievable. And then Texas, 292 yards. So that's a weakness.
For both sides. Like LSU, LSU hasn't really been extremely good against the run either.
LSU, 69 yards against USC. Should have won that football game. Nicholls State, 150. South Carolina, 243. UCLA, 14 yards. South Alabama, 110. Ole Miss, 180.
Yep.
Arkansas, 38, their best game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, 242.
Yeah, ugh.
Alabama, do you want to guess?
I don't even want to hear what, 315?
311.
Ugh!
6 touchdowns.
Gosh.
Florida, 113 yards. Vanderbilt, 122. Oklahoma, 167.
Yep.
And LSU's second best game of the year, Baylor, 62 yards.
Yes.
The touchdowns are the problem. South Carolina had 4 rushing touchdowns. A&M had 5 rushing touchdowns. Alabama had 6.
Oh, my gosh. That's 15 rushing touchdowns in 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's a struggle. Like, that's the kind of comparison between both sides is you have all this talent, but you've got to make it work.
This is why you go get A.J. Halsey.
Yes.
And TaMarcus Cooley.
So
I think a lot of those runs were more safety-bound than linebacker-bound. There's nobody there.
Well, and I just think the experience of Whit getting another year after all of that,
No, he was thrown into the deep end.
He was still he wasn't a game one. Oh, you're our starting linebacker. Like
he played,
no, right?
But it was situational.
Well, and I think Devon Keys. I'm really high on Keys. Like I really like what I saw, and I'm even higher on Tylen Singleton. Mm-hmm. Like to me, Singleton is going to be a star, and maybe even at the star position.
Yeah,
but he's going to be